Welcome to the Destinations with Doni podcast, where we explore your cultural passions. Destination home, cuisine, community, relationships, and passion. Embrace your cultural identity as we bring you the tools to live in full color. Thank you all for all of your perspectives. I mean, I want to talk more. We actually went longer than our normal taping time, but this was just so interesting. So I want to just close out by having each of you give your final words, your final perspective on the film, and where you think it will go in the future. Where should it go in the future? Let's start with Deanna.
Well, actually, during all the film, I was like, yes, we need more Namor. I was so afraid that they will end up killing him just for Wakanda to win. To be honest, I was so afraid all the time because I want more Namor. I was like, I need more of my culture to be portrayed on Hollywood. And this is start like the curiosity for the young generations to go back to our cultures, to say, yeah, Mayan culture is great, it's here and everything. So we need more of that. So I want that next movie that focus more on Namor, just like or Talocan in general. So I don't know, it was really really amazing for me, and even they mentioned like Kukulkan and stuff like that. I just want to like this side note is that Kukulkan, they say is the feather serpent. There's the Mayan version because there's a Aztec version, Quetzalcoatl. So in Mexico we have two feather serpents, Quetzalcoatl for the Aztecs and Kukulkan for the Mayans. And I was like, oh, they choose Kukulkan because it's more general or more known Quetzalcoatl than Kukulkan. So that's why I was like, oh yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was so rejoiced. I don't know how to explain it. And at the end, when we have the credits with the music, and there's like I think the chorus says Yucatan on the song. While I was on the movies, I was like, oh, that's where I'm from. I don't know. It was a nice feeling.
Representation is a good thing, y'all.
Yeah.
Representation.
So I'm so
Isis.
happy.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm just saying I'm
Good,
so
good.
happy.
And then for the future, where do you want it to go?
I mean, what I would like, it could be impossible, but what I would like is like a movie with Tenoch Huerta as main character and more Mexican actors involved, especially Mayan actors. For example, Josue Maichi, that's Atuman, I think is the name. He is from Campeche, so I was like, someone from Campeche. So I want more people from where I'm from instead of just being like the typical Mexican portrait that they have in the movies. I want more people that look like me on the movies. I want a movie with more people like me in the future. That's my hope.
I love that. I love that. Isis, final thoughts and where you want it to go in the future as well.
Yeah. So I appreciate Deanna's like additional cultural insight. That was great for me to hear. I think the end of the movie set it up that we'll see more involvement with T'Challa's son, who was like introduced at the end. Um, I I wonder what that'll be like if we see him as an adult, because that means the rest of the cast has to change, and I definitely want to see more collaboration.
Okay, let's go to John next.
I loved the adaptation of taking Namor from like Atlantis, European white. Namor spelled backwards is Roman, and there's a lot of people who were like pissed off that they made that transition. They made that adaptation. They like what they killed off his they killed off his cultural heritage. No, they didn't. They just adapted it. I love the fact that in this case Namor's name come Un Niño Sin Namor.
See,
That just blew my mind. It was incredible. Loved all the underwater scenes. But just seeing all these Mesoamerican actors speaking a Mesoamerican language. I mean, my original expectation was that they were all going to be speaking Spanish with a little bit of Mayan here and there dabbled in, not all of it. And I also loved when in the subtitles it was always blue when you knew when they're speaking. I'm going to say Mayan, but whatever the dialect is that they were speaking. Just because I know I'm from Guatemala, and Guatemala has 15 or 50 different literal languages, not just dialects, but Mayan languages that are completely distinct from one another. So I love the fact that they actually went there and fully committed to that, and the actors did too, and kudos to them for that.
Nice. And last but not least, Hayden, thoughts and where you want it to go for the. Oh wait, John, you didn't tell us where you want it to go for the future.
Oh, I would love that. That was another little disappointment. At the very end, they said, right at the end of all credits, they said, Black Panther will return. Great. I would have also preferred if they'd also said Black Panther and Namor will return, because yes, I want him back. I absolutely want, that the part of my family that is from Guatemala to be represented again. So yeah.
Well, and to that point, I actually see Namor as family now. So, like Wakanda and the Talocan, like there's no one else like them. And like we talked about, they rule land and sea. So I want those two cultures to stick together. So, thank you, Hayden. Thoughts and next steps.
Listen, I love a good layered project, and this project had everything for the people who were looking for Marvel representation and canon stuff. It had stuff for people who were interested in seeing these particular characters carry on their roles, but it really made some really interesting statements about world cultures, right? And the way that United States and Europe and all of these the different countries have interacted with people from South America and indigenous people there and people that they encountered in African nations. And so for me, it was like watching a history lesson, and you can really dig deep into it. And I try to do that in the article that's coming out with the next edition. But you have to really take time and really dig into all of the different ways that people were specific about how they wanted their culture represented. Even the hand signal that the Talocans were using, that shows up in Mayan paintings all over the place. And then they put Namor in a big old shark. So that's the shark, right? That's the shark's mouth. That's the signal. And so little details like that you can go and tease out and watch the movie 3, 4, 5, 6 times and pick up all of these different things is the mark of a really good movie. Donnie, you're gonna have to see this movie about 14 more times and
I
just
know,
just
right?
just get it all
Well,
played out.
I mean, it's
Me
like
too.
what we did with Watchmen and Lovecraft's Country, right? There was so
Right.
much history, so many things woven into it, and when you would tell people, it blew their minds, right? So as you
Absolutely.
talked about Shark's Mouth, also the Wakandan salute. My understanding is that comes from, I mean, most of what you see, whether it was the war paint or the hairstyles, the clothings, the colors, those all came from different African tribes. But my
Yes.
understanding is that Chadwick was the one who brought the Wakanda salute, and that came also from African history. So yeah, that's what makes these so rich. Like, can you imagine? Like, we're all such geeks for this. So, well, Isis and Hayden and I don't know if it sounds like you too, John and Deanna, that you might be a little nerdy as well. But it's
Do
you.
you see the background? That's all those little Funko Pops on top of my TV, and that's Star Wars right there. All those are all
Oh
Star
my
Wars posters.
gosh!
So yeah,
I should have brought my Funko Pops. They're right across here.
and that's Diane. That's right there is Diana Themyscira, Wonder Woman.
See
Oh,
that?
I have Diana the mascara as well. My brother bought me that, though. I just have to say, my brother
And
bought me
literally right next to me is a Harry Potter one. So like, I mean, we're all
Hey,
in it, right? So listen, I, I, I think one of the really interesting things about this is that we keep on asking for representation, and we keep on getting really surface level kind of like here's a bone, here's a little niblet right there. But this movie shows how beautiful of a project you can have if you dive deep. And it also shows that not just the people whose culture will be represented will go to it, because that's a untapped market, but it also shows that people outside of these cultures that are represented absolutely will find things in here that they can latch onto and find the project to be beautiful. Um, I would love to see I would love to see that they keep moving the Black Panther line down. I think that the next movie they very well could do a future and flashback kind of thing where they introduce a new character who will become T'Challa as the adult son of T'Challa, and then maybe flash back to when they how we got to that point, how we grew up, and move the conversation forward. I think that the Midnight Angels is a project that somebody needs to pick up. Their arc in the comics is so beautiful, and about how the relationship and how they really affect. They have the interaction with the rival kings outside of Wakanda. It's a beautiful story, and somebody needs to pick that project up. I am really excited for Ironheart though. Seeing Riri do her thing, and they picked the right actor for it. She's got the chops for it, and I'm really excited for Ironheart. So as soon as that comes out, I'm going to start analyzing that one too.
Oh,
If you ever
that
get
sounds
a,
great.
if you ever get a real quick, if you ever get a chance, real quick, if you ever get the chance, check out a Ta-Nehisi Coates' run of writing Black Panther. It is some of the most intelligent, erudite writing I've ever seen in a comic book. It is superb, and he goes on talking about like the Dora Milaje and all of that. It's in his run. It is superb. So highly recommend it.
Yep.
It's really well written.
That was my favorite run. And so I don't want to take up too much time, but
Yeah.
before. But one of the things that people oftentimes get caught up with is that everybody keeps on saying, "Oh, you ruined the character. Why is it so deep?" And like da 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 da. Because this, and they're reading the Coates run of it, and they're like, "Okay, that's the Panther that we want to talk about." But if you read the original Panthers, they were kind of hokey, right? The Luke Cages were kind of hokey. All of the black characters didn't have a lot of substance to them, and there was a lot of stereotypical stuff, and so just the same way a character can evolve, so too can a MCU character evolve. And people who always want to go back to, hey, that's not the Panther that I knew, are telling you something, and you should listen to what they're saying.
Well, exactly. That's kind of like, make,
People
your
tell on
country.
themselves all the time.
Well, it's interesting because I'm sorry that we lost Isis because she probably would have spoken to the Midnight Angels, right? She was very excited for that part of the comic book lore. She's actually traveling, and unfortunately, her connection is lost, so we've lost her. But yeah, there's so many rich things that we can use going forward, right? That they can use, and I really think that Marvel will. I mean, as you know, Ironheart, I think they are going to do Midnight Angels. I think that's why there was so much focus on the suits, right? They have to do something with, oh gosh, why am I going blank? From Dora Milaje, the general. What's her name?
Okoye.
Yes, man, yes. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not in the comics, but of course, M'Baku is probably going to be king. I mean, there's so many rich things. And also, Hayden, like you say, Watchmen, the original comics versus what HBO did, it's so different. But it makes it so much more rich. There's so much more to discuss. There's so many layers that go into society. And I think that's what we are an example of that. That's what makes this so interesting. And you can watch so many different conversations of it and still always pick up something new and good that will not only enrich your life, but really embolden who you are as a person. So I'm going to end it there because I think we all need to go. But this has been fantastic. Yes. And then also, okay, I'm gonna go with this one. For those on audio, we all just did the Talokan and Wakanda salutes. So thank you everyone for being with Destinations with Doni. This was Destination Culture, and I loved every moment. Thank you for being here. It was wonderful.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Nos
See you
vemos.
later. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Nos vemos. Thanks for listening or watching Destinations with Doni. Show your support by rating this episode on your podcast platform, wherever you listen to your podcasts, And while you're there, make sure to subscribe to get notifications of new episodes because you don't want to ever miss out on any of this cross-cultural goodness.